So I'm speaking to you today in the fall. It's a gorgeous September day in 2020, and we're going through a really unique experience. We're going through a global pandemic, we're going through a financial crisis, and really an economic challenge across rural America, particularly in farm country. But what is shared across this experience for all of us is, for the first time for many Americans, for most Americans, where they would go into the grocery store, where the most basic staples, flour, bread, pasta, sugar, basic staples weren't available. And they had this realization, holy smokes, maybe our food system is a little more fragile than we expected. And so I think what's coming out of this is consumer interest and consumer expectation for more transparency in their food system and more questions about the sustainability of their food system. My name is Jason Weller, and I serve as the Vice President of Truterra. And Truterra is the new sustainability business at Land O'Lakes. I've been with Land O'Lakes for the last 3.5 years, but prior to Land O'Lakes, I had served in public service, working for the federal government, U.S. Department of Agriculture, where I served as the chief of USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service. And in another poll that was recently taken, a majority of U.S. consumers, 70+%, say they would change their buying choices if they thought they could make a difference on reducing their environmental impact. That's a really strong signal that consumers are shifting their buying choices towards products that are marketing and position themselves as sustainably grown. When you go into the grocery store, about 16% of the products on the store shelf are marketed as quote-unquote sustainable. But over the last 5 years, 55% of the total growth in the food sector occurred on that sustainably labeled product. And so this is saying to me that consumers are shifting more of their dollar to purchase products that they believe are making a difference for the environment and are providing a value for their family. More broadly, we're seeing this shift occur across the whole ag supply chain. So it can be from basic manufacturers and seed producers all the way to equipment manufacturers in the ag industry, also are trying to then position their products and practices and technologies in the sustainability arena. And that's where Truterra comes in. So we start first with the farmer, and we help them benchmark and show the world their sustainability, but also help those farmers identify new opportunities to adopt conservation, new management systems on their farms to overall increase their profitability, and to help them address stewardship challenges on the farm. We have a technology platform called the Truterra Insights Engine, and it's a best-in-class technology that connects farmers with the data they're already creating and generating, but puts a new lens on that data, allowing them to ultimately decide what's the best mix of practices and agronomic systems they want to use to produce their crop, but also to protect the environment. But then we can aggregate up, we can anonymize and aggregate up in a state or in a watershed or in a grain buying region, a grain shed, as someone would call it. What are the management activities that farmers are using to produce that wheat or to produce that corn or produce those soybeans? So when a food company is purchasing wheat, say from the northern regions of the Chesapeake Bay region, like Campbell's Soup does, we can help Campbell's understand where they're sourcing wheat from, what are the sustainability practices wheat producers are using on the ground in Maryland and in Pennsylvania to drive their individual success. But then with Truterra, we can then estimate what's the positive environmental impact of these really good agronomic and conservation practices, and the impact on reducing erosion, improving the health of the soil, sequestering carbon, reducing losses of nutrients and sediment from the fields. And those are all impacts that ultimately impact downstream, literally and figuratively, our water supply and our air quality. And so we're connecting the whole food supply chain, from the consumer to the consumer packaged food company, all the way back up the supply chain to that individual farm family. We start first with the farmer. And that's really been our core focus and where we want to create the most impact and frankly the most value. So a really interesting poll came out last week. It wasn't a political poll. Instead, it was a poll of the public and who do they trust? So they looked at the whole US economy and they looked across all the different sectors in the US economy. And for the first time, the Gallup poll reveals that America trusts the American farmer and the ag industry. It stood out as the #1 most trusted sector in the whole US economy. That's really telling. So everything that's happening right now, the public, in a moment of a lot of concerns what's happening in the economy and with our public health, are actually looking to the American farmer for answers. That says a lot. And so I'm really proud that Truterra works for farmers, we're owned by farmers, and we want to prove that that trust in the American farmer, that faith the public is putting in the farmer, is well-founded. That they are great leaders and they're great stewards over natural resources, and the American public can depend upon the farmer to feed them today and into the future.